tried to run the ship properly with a book, but they fought me at every turn.
A question in your nerves is lit, yet you know there is no answer fit to satisfy. Ensure you're not to quit, you keep it in your mind and not forget that it is not he or she or them or it that you belong to. Oh, the masters make the rules. Oh, the wise men and the fools. I've got nothing more to live up to.
I tried to run the ship properly with a book, but they fought me at every turn.
And it turns out that in 2007, he went on record as being against the troop surge. I'd like to have the congressman respond.
Now, in January of '07, Mr. Bush announced the surge. One of the things that we, I think, are to do as members of Congress is to try to understand the implications and not rubber stamp policy. The vote that was coming up was to set a...
I tried to run the ship properly with a book, but they fought me at every turn.
That vote was in February of '07 to set a timeline. I've been criticized for missing the vote, and I did miss the vote. I missed the vote because I went to my father-in-law's funeral. I would do the same thing again. And I clearly announced that I would vote against the resolution to put a timeline in place if I had been there, if it hadn't been for the funeral.
There were some people who voted against it, and I think history is going to prove that they were correct.
Thank you. And Mr. LoBiondo, 30 seconds.
You know, my opponent is right. I missed the vote on the surge. And I gave a lengthy statement on the floor of the House. And I don't know where his priorities in life are, but mine were with my wife's father, who died. And we went to the funeral. That's why I missed the vote. If that's not good enough for you, I'm sorry, I don't meet your standards.
March, April, May, June, that this was absolutely the right strategy to do. And that's what I supported. And my votes reflect that consistently. Are we doing direct questioning here, or? I mean, is this,
No.
I mean, did I answer your question? Do you have any questions about my position or how or why?
I do want you to say clearly, though. So all along you were in support of the troop surge from day one.
I questioned the surge when it was originally announced.
Mm-hmm.
But when it came time to vote on a timeline, which would have been against the surge, I stated that I was missing the vote because of a death in the immediate family, but I would oppose the Democrat initiative that was put on the floor, which was to oppose the troop surge. I was not opposed to it in any of my votes at any time that I've been there, period. While I do not support the President's latest strategy, While I do not support the President's latest strategy,
I tried to run the ship properly with a book, but they fought me at every turn. The crew wanted to walk around with their shirt tails hanging out. That's all right. Let them. Take the tow line. Defective equipment. No more, no less. but they encouraged the crew to go around scoffing at me and spreading wild rumors about steaming in circles and then old Yellowstain. I was to blame for Lieutenant Merrick's incompetence and poor seamanship. Lieutenant Merrick was the perfect officer, but not Captain Queeg. But the strawberries, that's where I had them. They laughed at me and made jokes, but I proved beyond the shadow of a doubt and with geometric logic that a duplicate key to the wardroom I found did exist. And I'd have produced that key if they hadn't pulled the Caine out of action. I know now they were only trying to protect some fellow officer. Naturally, I can only cover these things from memory. If I've left anything out, why, just ask me specific questions and I'll be glad to answer them one by one.
Hey, Steve, Tom, that was me. Well. The officers of the Caine in happy celebration.
What are you, Barney, kind of tight?
Sure. I got a guilty conscience. I defended you, Steve, because I found the wrong man was on trial. So I torpedoed Queeg for you. I had to torpedo him. And I feel sick about it.
Okay, Barney, take it easy.
You know something? When I was studying law, and Mr. Kiefer here was writing his stories, and you, Willie, were tearing up the playing fields of dear old Princeton, who was standing guard over this fat, dumb, happy country of ours, eh? Not us. Oh, no, we knew you couldn't make any money in the service. So who did the dirty work for us? Queeg did. And a lot of other guys. Tough, sharp guys who didn't crack up like Queeg.
But no matter what, Captain Queeg endangered the ship and the lives of the men.
He didn't endanger anybody's life. You did, all of you. You're a fine bunch of officers.
You said yourself he cracked.
I'm glad you brought that up, Mr. Painter, because that's a very pretty point. You know, I left out one detail in the court-martial. Wouldn't have helped our case any. Tell me, Steve, after the Yellowstain business, Queeg came to you guys for help and you turned him down, didn't you?
Yes, we did.
You didn't approve his conduct as an officer. He wasn't worthy of your loyalty. So you turned on him. You ragged him. You made up songs about him. If you'd given Queeg the loyalty he needed, do you suppose the whole issue would have come up in the typhoon? You're an honest man, Steve. I'm asking you. Do you think it would have been necessary for you to take over?
It probably wouldn't have been necessary.
Yeah.
If that's true, then we were guilty.
Ah, you're learning, Willie. You're learning that you don't work with the captain because you like the way he parts his hair. You work with him because he's got the job or you're no good. Well, the case is over. You're all safe. It was like shooting fish in a barrel. And now we come to the man who should have stood trial. The Caine's favorite author. The Shakespeare whose testimony nearly sunk us all. Tell him, Kiefer.
No, you go ahead. You're telling it better.
You ought to read his testimony. He never even heard of Captain Queeg.
Let's forget it, Barney.
Queeg was sick. He couldn't help himself. But you're real healthy. Only you didn't have 1/10 the guts that he had.
Except I never fooled myself, Mr. Greenwald.
I'm going to drink a toast to you, Mr. Kiefer. From the beginning, you hated the Navy. And then you thought of this whole idea. And you managed to keep your skirts nice and starched and clean, even in the court-martial. Steve Merrick will always be remembered as a mutineer. But you'll publish your novel, you'll make $1 million, you'll marry a big movie star, and for the rest of your life, you'll live with your conscience, if you have any. Now, here's to the real author of the Caine Mutiny. Here's to you, Mr. Kiefer. If you want to do anything about it, I'll be outside. I'm a lot drunker than you are, so it'll be a fair fight.
Term limits will give the American people more elections and more open seats. They will bring new members to Congress who have different experiences and different ideas. That's what the American people want. And the American people will be watching to see who supports real congressional reform and who votes for the status quo. I urge my colleagues to join in a yes vote for final passage of term limits.
I really don't want to say it, but the time has come, and so, for the last time, good luck, and good night, Chet. Good luck, David, and good night for NBC News.